It's not lost to me that this is probably one of the most dad cars I've ever reviewed on the channel. It's the Seat Leon Sportstourer PHEV hybrid. It is a mouthful of a name of a model, but it's also a car that I've had to double check and triple check today to make sure I've got the price right. Because after grants, this car starts, this particular model, somewhere between 30 and 32,000 euro. And I'm just wondering, is there a bigger, more economical plug-in hybrid that you can buy on the market? I'm not sure. Like, I reviewed an Audi A3 with this same type of engine in it, and it ain't 30 grand. So we're gonna have a little look around today and see, like, seriously, if you can get over the dad car image, could this be your next car? Now, many people will agree that the Leon is better looking than the current Golf. Sharp edges over the front, sharp headlights, aggressive enough grille, and because it's an F1 model, there's grey inserts, whereas that might be normally kind of a chrome type trim. Diamond style headlights. The repeaters in these are so bright, and I think in general on the side as well, it's a fairly good looking car, but I think we do have to acknowledge the fact that there's quite a big overhang between the rear wheels and the boot. Now, you can get this F4 plug-in hybrid in a hatchback version Leon if you want. Obviously this one has a massively bigger boot because this is a 600 litre boot. In fact, it's about 620 litres, whereas the Leon is under 400. It's like comparable with the Golf and the new Skoda Fabia and stuff like that. So under the boot you can store your granny cable and your Type 2 cable for charging. There's two gaps either side. Now, things won't fall under the side because it's got polystyrene there. I'm not sure though whether those gaps are useful because there's nothing to hold anything into place with, so they're just going to fall around. Now, these things for dropping your seats are very easy. You're not going around into the car and you can quickly load stuff into your boot, which again, if you're going to go for this car, chances are it's because you're going to use the boot more than a hatchback. Maybe you got a dog, maybe you move stuff around, I don't know. So that's very, very handy. And this parcel shelf that slides here has got some give in it, so you can put it over bikes and buggies and stuff, and it'll bend as you need to. So it's a very, very practical boot. It does also have this big strip that lights up at night time, and again, your repeaters in the back are really bright and LED. And then you've got some fake exhaust going on down here because it's a Volkswagen Audi group car, and that's what they do. So it's well known that the Leon has more legroom than the Golf. That's a fact. Possibly on a par, maybe ever so slightly bigger than the current Ford Focus. So legroom is never going to be a problem, as is height for your head. We've got a good armrest, good angle on it. You will get individual climate control in the back of the F4 models with two USB-C charging options. And in fact, the entire car is USB-C. And the back of the seat rests also have storage areas, so it's, you know, a standard enough car. I don't think there's anything great about it apart from the legroom. Everything else, kind of as you'd expect. There is no way of locking the child locks without the physical button on the side of the door, though. Some other cars in the range have a little control button on the driver's instruments, just on the door. Oh, and if your kids like drinking water, there's really good storage in the door bins too. I've said it time and time again, Seat do amazingly good steering wheels, especially in F4. Just feels lovely. Great size to it. You've got physical buttons for those of you that hate the haptic style in the latest Golf, for example. The aircon, there's 3 levels. I might just actually turn it down. And I like the way, even with the auto button, there's 3 options you can press. Do you know what? I'm even kind of starting to grow to like the touch screen. You know, you think of it in 3 separate areas: your audio source, your phone. You can have your maps there. You can have your maps also in this display if you have it. I mean, the only thing on this car that's an optional extra is the mystery blue paint. It's a 600-ish euro optional extra. And like, seriously, just over 30 grand for a plug-in hybrid after grants. It's just kind of weird. 35,000 euro for all this car with this space, this boot, the plug-in option. It says 60 kilometers, it's not. It's maybe 40 kilometers on a charge if you're driving around town, and that's my driving. You might get better, you might get worse. It's basically a 1.4 petrol engine and an 80 odd kilowatt output electric motor, and combined they make 204. So your petrol engine is just about 150 brake horsepower, just under it as far as I know, and that is always there. And then you can top it up and drive in emissions free, and like even if you floor it, engine doesn't come on, it's fine, it can deal with the power. You've got the nib for a gear shifter, 2 big giant cup holders, good armrest, there's a 12 under there. It does slide in and out, up and down. The seats are very comfortable. The very, very base of the seat just doesn't always meet your back, if you get me. It's like you can't just fully get in. But those of you who've been a bit too giddy in the bedroom department and have too many kids, or just 3, there is an extra Isofix seat up here. Now, I'm not saying you're going to fit an adult between the 2 child seats in the back, but if you need to carry 3 on the way home from creche or whatever, then you can do it. There's a good storage area down here. This doesn't have wireless charging, but you use your cable and 2 USBs up front. Air vents, they're not quite as pointed as towards your knee as I remember. And there's loads of adjustment on your steering wheel. Like, that's really generous. Where would you be going with a steering wheel like that? But if you wanted to drive that, you could. And obviously the upgraded displays are very, very sharp. This doesn't have blind spot, but I've used it in other Seats, and it's lovely the way it's integrated into the doors. Yeah, there's a lot of plastic going on, but you know what? That steering wheel kind of makes up for everything. It's lovely. So my friends, as I've now got to drive quite a few of these plug-in hybrid offerings from Seat and Volkswagen and Audi, let me just say it's very, very simple to live with. You plug the car in every day, you do 0 emissions. You don't plug it in and you just use the petrol engine, and you'll get somewhere, depending on the car and how you're driving it, between sort of 6 and 9 litres per 100 kilometres. But if you stick to the whole point of plugging in a hybrid every day, you will have no difficulty. Yes, of course, if you're on a motorway, it's going to use that range quicker. But again, if you haven't seen it yet, you can either use the car in hybrid mode with a combination. You can charge the car, the battery on the go, or you could save some battery range for later. Let's say in a couple of years' time from now, there's some 0 emissions rule in Dublin city centre. Well, you'll be future-proofed. Not as future-proofed as if you have an electric car, of course, and this is just me thinking out loud because no one actually knows where the government are going. I don't think the government even know where they're going in terms of emissions. Now, over bumps, a set of consistent bumps, you'll feel the suspension is a little bit soft. Battery's obviously going to weigh a bit and add on to the overall weight of the car. That's fair enough. That just is part of the course with any sort of car with batteries on it. But that burst of acceleration you get, combined with the super smooth DSG gearbox, it just all makes for a very quick getaway from a set of lights, bit of in-gear acceleration, the whole lot. And actually to drive it, like, the steering is pretty dead, there's no major sense of feedback through it, but it's smooth and it's light, and the car does actually respond pretty well to input. So I think for the extra weight with the batteries and the layout of the car, it's fine for handling actually. And anyway, you're going to be buying this for practicality over everything else. Now, if you want to sit really low, you can. You can obviously adjust your seat height well up. I have to keep messing with this back support because sometimes I feel like I'm in the back seat of the car almost, and I'm too far back. But my leg position is okay. I can't get any closer that way, or my legs it'll be too tight. If you are charging the battery, by the way, it'll take just over 3 hours to charge it to full. And as I said, that range will give you, if you're lucky, about 45. Now there's automatic regen in the background, so that will pump an extra kilometre or 2 per journey into your battery range also. Just stuck at a set of lights here. I'm hoping to give you an example. Here I am now. So let's floor it as everything goes flying. And you can feel the gear change is not as smooth. You can actually feel the changes compared to a petrol DSG setup. But like, there's an Audi A6 or something behind me, and I wasn't particularly trying to burn away from the set of lights there, but the pickup is really, really quick. The car will get a little bit noisier and a little bit more sluggish if you're just using that 1.4 petrol engine when your battery range is depleted. Kind of feel like I'm saying these things every time, but I also am conscious that you may not have seen any other of my videos. And if you haven't, please subscribe. Now would be a great time to do it. And this is the first video I'm filming where I have over 20,000 subscribers. So thank you again so much, whether you're new or you're here for the last few years. It's a good bit of tire noise off these upgraded alloy wheels, I will say that. And certainly it doesn't feel like there's the thickest of insulation in the cabin from the outside world. You do notice cars whizzing past and stuff like that. The lane departure is very good. It reads paint on roads very, very well. I wouldn't say you're not meant to let go of the steering wheel, but you can feel it if you weren't holding the steering wheel pretty tight and you were on a solid white line. You could feel the technology in the car just gently bringing you around in line with the actual paint markings. So that works very, very well. It's also frontal collision avoidance, which it's just come on several times. It's not that I've used it, the car has thought I'm going to crash over the last few days, and that works really well at many different speeds. I was approaching a bus in a bus lane and I was about to change lane, and from quite a distance the frontal collision avoidance warning came on to warn me that I was going to smack into the bus if I wasn't changing lane, which I was, but you know, computer didn't know that. I really think Seat have got themselves a nice little nugget here. Like, this is a niche thing. Yeah, if you're getting certain models of the car, you're getting into 37 grand. But you don't have to go that far, and there's excellent trim lines, and there's so many different trims. There's kind of something for everybody. It starts with an SE. I just think this car is so competitively priced for the space, you know? And maybe just not enough people know about this Sportstourer. I don't know what it is, but if you want something that's relatively green, if you want something that has a lot of space, and if you don't mind the dad car image, then I think this car deserves a little bit of attention from you. So you know what, yeah, it is the ultimate dad car, the ultimate dad estate. It'll do everything, and I think for the price of it, it's really, really hard to beat. I'd like the alloys to be bigger. I'd like some of the plastics and the interior to be better. I don't know if I like the colour, but I just can't. I'm a sucker for the grey and Seat. It's like a greeny grey tint to it, and it's gorgeous. But for all that space, you're going to struggle to better it. Thanks for watching.